On February 10, 1940, a new movie called Puss Gets the Boots was shown in theaters. It was the first ever cat and mouse film, but back then, the characters were known as Jasper and Jinx, not Tom and Jerry. In the movie, Jasper the cat bothers Jinx the mouse, but clever Jinx always manages to outsmart the cat. Surprisingly, the movie ends with the mouse winning and triumphing over the cat, which was unexpected. This film became incredibly popular and even threatened the popularity of other cartoons like Alice in Wonderland, Betty Boop, and Gertie the dinosaur that were around at that time. The cat and mouse characters became the most popular cartoons in the world. Even though the story was simple and funny, the producers noticed that the cartoon's popularity was growing. They thought, we need a name that people can connect with. Jasper and Jinx just don't work. So they held a contest among artists and offered a $50 prize for the best name. An artist named John Carr won, and he suggested the names Tom and Jerry, which came from an English play. Tom was the stubborn and hot-tempered cat, while Jerry was the clever brown mouse. Tom was the villain, but he still had a likable and funny side. The cartoon became even more popular with adults than with children. It eventually became a hit on television and started to compete with movies. This put the film production companies in a tough spot, and they had to make sacrifices to keep going. They decided to give up the silliness in the cartoons. MGM, the company producing Tom and Jerry, spent $50,000 on each film. In 1957, MGM completely closed its animation department and let go of the original animators, William Hanna and Joseph Barbera. However, they teamed up and went on to create successful cartoons like the Smurfs, Scooby-Doo, and the Flintstones. A few years later, MGM realized that giving up on the cartoon was a big mistake. It was the only thing that could save them in this difficult time. So, in 1961, they decided to start producing Tom and Jerry again, but this time without the original animators. They hired a director named Gene Deitch. Gene Deitch owned an animation studio in New York and had moved to Czechoslovakia with his partner. When MGM approached him to direct Tom and Jerry, they asked him to work with Czech artists to save money. The challenge was that Czechoslovakia was aligned with the Soviet Union, and there was strict censorship and isolation from the rest of the world. MGM had to secretly produce Tom and Jerry films in Prague, the capital of Czechoslovakia. However, since the Czech animators had never seen any Tom and Jerry films, their version turned out to be different. The animation quality was poor, and the characters didn't have their usual charm. The company didn't credit the Czech artists in the credits of these episodes because they didn't want the cartoon to be associated with communism. Instead, they used fake American names for the artists. Interestingly, when the audience saw these cartoons, they were disgusted and didn't like them at all. In 1963, director Gene Deitch revealed in an interview that he received death threats because the Czech version of Tom and Jerry didn't appeal to the audience. MGM fired him and hired Chuck Jones, who had worked for their rival company. Chuck Jones gave Tom thick eyebrows and a slightly twisted face, similar to the character he designed, the Grinch. Under Chuck Jones' direction, Tom and Jerry made 34 successful films from 1963 to 1967. The series started airing on TV, and CBS bought the rights to show it. Tom and Jerry became the ultimate trend, a cartoon loved by everyone, no matter their age or gender. It had timeless appeal and received recognition with 13 Oscar nominations and 7 Best Animated Short Film awards. Some notable films were The Cat Concerto, Two Mouseketeers, and Johann Mouse. However, starting in the 1970s, there were accusations of violence associated with the cartoon, which continue to this day. In 1991, as the Cold War ended and peace spread, a Tom and Jerry film was released in 1992 with the message of reconciliation between the cat and mouse to save a little girl's life. However, the audience didn't appreciate this message. They wanted the usual mischief, fights, chases, and comic violence. That's what made Tom and Jerry so beloved. If we think about it, there's a reason for this. Besides perfect timing, great music, and clever writing, Tom and Jerry's comedy is rooted in pain. It's the war, injuries, burns, falls, and chaos that make us laugh deep inside. Multiple generations and cultures have loved it. But why does pain invoke laughter? Do Tom and Jerry fans have a love for violence? Do we desire to be in their shoes, either hitting or being hit? Or is there a deeper story? The relationship between pain and comedy has been a long debated question. Philosophers and psychologists, including Aristotle and Plato, have explored theories like the superiority theory, where laughing at others' pain gives a sense of superiority. Another theory suggests that laughter brings about a positive psychological transformation, shifting our mindset to happiness and a feeling of superiority. According to American historian Jerry Beck, the global popularity of Tom and Jerry comes from people relating to Jerry's position. We all have someone in our lives who controls us or determines our happiness and success, whether it's a boss, politicians, or even a cat like Tom. We laugh because we see the small and helpless Jerry triumph over a much larger foe. It's a victory we wish for as individuals facing our own challenges. This pattern of the weak overcoming the strong is a common source of laughter and successful jokes. We know that in reality, the strong usually win over the weak, but seeing the opposite happen amuses us. Whether it's a student making a joke about a teacher or Jerry outsmarting Tom, it taps into our awareness of this contradiction and brings us joy. No matter what we think is right or wrong, it's hard not to laugh when a student makes a joke about the teacher. The teacher has power and authority, while the student is just a child. In the beginning, Tom and Jerry looked more like animals. When Tom was in pain, he would scream like a cat, which was annoying because we imagined a cat in pain. But then they made Tom scream with a human voice. It's funny because hearing a man's voice coming out of a cat is inherently amusing. And when Tom speaks, his voice sounds gruff, which adds to the humor. Another reason it's funny is that we understand human pain better than the harm inflicted on animals, because we empathize more with humans. Laughter and pain are closely connected. Surprisingly, laughter isn't always a sign of happiness. It actually helps reduce pain and strengthen social bonds by releasing endorphins. Dr. Robin Dunbar from Oxford University believes that laughter increases when we're in pain to help ease its intensity. According to British psychologist William McDougall, humans laugh because we are often miserable, and laughter makes us feel better. He thinks laughter isn't just a reflection of joy but a way to generate joy. The worse we feel, the more we need laughter to lessen the severity of our pain. It's like a defense mechanism. Dr. Sophie Scott from the University of London compares laughter to releasing steam pressure. Sometimes, laughter is a healthy way to let out pent-up emotions like tension, anger, or embarrassment. Cringe comedy, like in The Office, relies on creating embarrassing situations. People who suppress their emotions tend to laugh easily as an alternative way to express their pain. In the past, if you lost to someone, you might have thought about hurting yourself. But over time, you adapt and may even find it funny. Psychologists consider humor a mature defense mechanism we use to protect ourselves from severe anxiety. Laughing at shocking events doesn't mean we ignore them, it helps us cope with them. Laughing during or after a shocking moment shows our ability to endure it. Psychologists believe that our sense of humor develops during adolescence as a way to help us deal with pain. Comedians often come from challenging social or economic backgrounds or have had a difficult childhood. It's rare to find a mentally healthy person who is a comedian because, simply put, if they were mentally stable and content, they wouldn't be funny. A study conducted at New York University on successful comedians earning high incomes found that 80% of them had received psychological treatment at some point in their lives. They were also afraid of getting better because they believed that being psychologically healed would take away their ability to be funny. Comedians see their struggles as an integral part of their comedic skills. Imagine having an illness that consumes you, controls you, and affects your behavior, but you don't want to treat it. Comedian Jim Norton, in an interview with the Times newspaper, said that the deeper the hole you find yourself in, the more comedy you need to climb out of it.